So let's have a look at how we multiply decimals by hand through long multiplication, but with decimals. So it's kind of neat because we've done long multiplication before, and it's a similar process. Just got to have some understanding when we start working with decimals. Okay, so we want to find 6.8 times 4.2, and then we want to check our answers, see whether it's a reasonable answer using one figure estimate. And I'll talk about that estimation in a moment, just because it's a handy skill to have to see roughly whether or not your answer is correct, and you know, it helps identify mistakes and stuff pretty easily. So we've got 6.8 times 4.2. Okay, now when we did long multiplication, we would write it like this. So 6.8 times 4.2. And we're going to do the same here. And what we're going to do is we're going to start by looking at, hang on, let me know if I can get this out. We're going to start by looking at this 2, and we're going to go 2 times 8 and 2 times 6. Now 2 times 8 is 16. We put the 6 down here, but we put the 1 up here. So this ends up 6, this ends up as 1. And then we go, the 2 times 6 is 12, but we've got to add this 1 that we carried. So that's going to be 13. And because we've finished, we're going to put the full 13 down in here. And because I'm done with that 1, I'm just going to cross it off so I know it's done. Okay, we're then going to multiply the 4 with the 8, but before we do, because we've moved a place value across, we actually have to have a 0 on the second line, just like we would with our normal long multiplication. So we've got the 4 times the 8, which is 32. So we're going to put our 3 up in here, add 2 down in here. We've got our 4 times our 6, which is 24. Add our 3 that we carried, which is 27. Because I'm done with that line, we're going to put it here. And now, what we're going to do is add each column up as we did previously. So we've got the 6 plus the 0 is 6. Got the 3 plus the 2 is 5. Got the 1 plus the 7 is 8. And the 2 on its own like that. Now, we've done the long multiplication step. The last thing we have to do is work out where our decimal place needs to go with our final answer. Now, to do that, we've actually got to look at how many decimal places do we have in both of our original numbers in total. So we've got 1 here, we've got 1 here. So in total we have 2. What that means in our final answer, we need 2 decimal places. So our decimal needs to go here for us to have 2 decimal places. So we put our decimal here, and our solution is of 6.8 times 4.2 is equal to 28.56. Now, let's talk about this use of a one figure estimate, because this can be really useful when we need to know roughly what this amount's going to be. So when I look at one figure estimates, just means we're going to one whole number, so one unit. When I look at 6.8, that's pretty close to 7. Okay, and when I look at 4.2, that's pretty close to 4. All right, so we're overestimating the first one, we're underestimating the second, so they're kind of going to cancel each other out a little bit, but we essentially go to the nearest whole number for each, and we go, well, 4 times 7 is going to be 28. So we're approximately looking for a number that's equal to 28. All right, now it's going to be not exactly to 28 because we're just finding roughly where our answer should be. And we notice that we've got 28.56. So we kind of underestimated it a little bit, but you can tell right here that we're getting pretty close with a one figure estimate. So that's what it's kind of referring to when it talks to a one figure estimate. It's useful when you don't need the exact number, you just need the approximate number, and that's quite easy to do in your head. So there's lots of practical applications to being able to just quickly do a one figure estimate. But let's have a look at just a couple more examples so we just get in the rhythm of doing this. So we've got 26.3 and we're multiplying by 5. All right. So we line them up. This 5 needs to multiply everything. So 3 times 5 is 15. Put the 1 up there. 6 times 5 is 30. Add the 1 is 31. So we carry the 3, put the 1. 2 times 5 is 10. Add the 3 is 13. And because we're only multiplying by a single digit, we've done our multiplication step. There's no addition step because we don't have more than one line. All we've got to look at is how many decimal places do we have total. So we have 1 in this number, none in this number. So we need 1 decimal place to finish in our final answer. So it means that 26.3 times 5 is equal to 131.5 or 131.5. Let's do one more. So we've got this 11.36 times by 2.8. So the first step, we need to look at this 8 and we need to multiply that with everything in the top line. So 8 times 6 will be 48. So we carry the 4 up high, the 8 down low. 3 times 8 is 24. Add the 4 is 28. So we need to put the 2 up high, the 8 down low, cross off the 4 so I know it's done. 1 times 8 is 8, add the 2 is 10, so we carry the 1 up high, 0 down low, cross that off. 1 times 8 is 8, add the 1 is 9, and I'm just going to cross off the 1. So that's the first line done. Now I need to do the same with the 2's, but because I'm moving to another line, I need to add the 0 before I start. So 2 times 6 is 12, so 1 and 2. 2 times 3 is 6, plus the 1 is 7. Cross it off. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 1 is 2. And we've now done the multiplication phase of it. We now add up our columns. So 8 plus 0 is 8. 8 plus 2 is 10. Carry the 1. 0 plus 7. 7 plus 1 is 8. 9 plus 2 is 11. And then 2 plus 1 is going to be 3. So now we've got to look at our our initial decimal place values to look at where the decimal fits. So we've got 2 decimal places in our first number, 1 decimal place in our second number. So we need a total of 3 decimal places. So we'll go just here in our final solution. All right. So that tells us that 11.36 times 2.8 will equal 31.808. So like I said, when we're multiplying decimals with each other, it's very much just the same process that we did with whole numbers with long multiplication. The only added step at the end is to count the number of decimal places you had to begin with and make sure you've got the same number of decimal places in your final solution.